Shima'ini etlutu Shima'ini yashi Shima'ini Shibut Ari Grabshi Uruk Shima'ini Yashi Anakku ana Enkidu Idriyabaki Kima Lalariki Unambasarti Hasin ahia tuklat idia namsar shipia aritu shapania luba isanatia nibish Lale Sharu Lemnu Itba Itikma Shanim Duma Nilu Shada Nisbatuma Ala Nilar Mushalpitu Humba Shayda Kishti Erevi Ashvu Ini Ictuma ibri kima kalati panishu. Shimaini etlutu Shimaini yashi Shibut ari drapshi uruk Shimaini yashi Anakku Allah Enkidu Kima lalariki una basarti Hasin ahia tuklat idia namsar shipia haritu shapani.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Children of the Cup. I am your DM, GM, storyteller, whichever you'd like to call me, Forgotten Dreams, and I am joined by a lovely cast of people, starting with Jay!
Hi, I'm Jay. I'll be playing Serafino of the Clan of the Sombra.
Alright, next up we're going to have... Mel.
Hey, I'm Mel, and I'll be playing Chimeg, and she is the clan of Anda.
Azzy.
Yeah, Asio Asira, and I'm playing Cecilia of Montfort, and she's a Simish.
And last but not least, Seth.
Hi, my name is Foriel, and I'll be playing Ajala.
Alright, fantastic. So, Serafino was away last time, so unfortunately he cannot continue with his obligation to go ahead and give us the recaps. As such, for the next 2 episodes after thus, he will be forced to give the recap, no matter what, in great detail, so take notes, Jay. In the meantime, Ajala has volunteered, and by that I mean forced into giving us the recap for this episode.
For that, yeah. So, I'm gonna mix and match a bit of last episode and the episode before. 2 episodes ago, we were at our little vampire daddy's place, if I'm not remembering. Or, well, it was an episode before that, even, perhaps. But we got this plan because Jala's gotten the group into a bit of trouble by eating on someone else's property and then destroying the someone else whose property that was. And there's an investigation going into who destroyed said or may have had to do with that person going missing. Now, in order for that investigation to be dropped, we've been discussing some options, which Ajala took a few options away of as well. Lied to that, about that to Cecilia very, very terribly. So who knows where that will end up. Anyway, in order to make the investigation go away, they decided to go to our local Tremere, who's the one who hired us to look into it, and offer her something else in return. What can we offer in return for you dropping the investigation? Because it basically could harm us when the information gets out. We ended on that particular note, Cecilia actually trying to convince our good friend Mara. What else happened last time? We also got a gift from our vampire daddy under our doors from the inn. Every one of us had something different.
I got a coin.
I got a ring.
And Serafina doesn't remember what he got.
You got a
What's
dagger.
here?
You got a dagger.
Yes, I do not. Okay, I got a
Serafino.
dagger.
I have
Serafino
a
doesn't remember,
dagger.
yeah. Yeah, you have a dagger. Serafino actually does have a dagger, too.
Oh, I like daggers.
2
Stabby,
daggers.
stabby.
Yeah.
What would be the intention of that? Should we stab people?
Who knows?
Maybe. Anyway, last we left off, we were at the rack, trying to convince Mara of dropping the investigation in return for something else, basically offering the potential of us having to owe her a big boon, which Cecilia had done with 4 successes on her persuasion check, which is not a persuasion check, but you know. There you go, that's the recap.
Well, I can
Fantastic.
add 3 things then, just to highlight. First, Persephone was seemingly gone and people didn't know where she was.
Yeah.
But actually some did know, and they said she's home in Bethlehem, where she always goes sometimes, which makes us a bit confused why people who know her think she's gone. Secondly, we have had a Nosferatu of some sort that has been, well, a creep at least, that has been sneakily looking at us from the corner of our eyes. And last episode, Cecilia confronted a person and learned that his name is Bosra and he's working for Alexus, the other Samish in town that has a keen interest for some reason in our group. Maybe it's because I'm also Samish. Who knows? And the third highlight is that when Adiala went to get Mara, that we're trying to convince, he went to her home, and there was a lot of hospitaller that was praying to a statue a Jesus statue that was bleeding from the head somehow. So there's something going on there that might be important.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Something superstitious indeed, seeing as it's not often that your Jesus statues decide to bleed from their crown of thorns. Either way, bringing us back into the situation at hand. A question has been asked, a plea, really. A roll has been made. And your DM has decided what he's going to do with that roll. So. Mara stares over at you for a long time and contemplates, taking a sip of her drink, small cup of tea. I understand that you want to protect this person. I do. So in return, I'm going to ask one of you for a life boon.
I have the prize.
Quick question: what does a life boon sort of entail in sense of heaviness? That's probably the most extreme kind that you have.
Yes, it is the largest of the boons available in your repertoire of boons, and essentially, it's a boon where she can almost call up to the point where you might have your life in extreme danger.
It normally, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Dreams, it's also a life boon is considered until she calls you to something that is of extreme danger.
Correct.
All other things she asks for is included for free. So you might get task after task after task.
Essentially several boons encased that are considered for free until the debt is paid. And she's asking that of one of you.
I see. And Cecilia thinks. She does not look over to anyone of the other group. Do you plan to stay in Jerusalem for a long time?
This is my home. I will be here until the day that I perish. Which, God's willing, that will be a long time.
As no one says anything when Cecilia sits there, she will just say, "All right, I accept."
Then you will be the one taking this life boon?
Yes.
Very well. Unfortunate that you ran into this situation, but understandable. I do very much understand having to protect those that are precious to you in some way, shape, or form.
Jola is sort of staring at Cecilia right now in a bit of shock, like.
At this point, it's out of my control to prevent my sister from coming to Jerusalem, unfortunately, but I will ensure that she does not pry into this particular matter. There are plenty of other things that I can distract her with in the meantime. Speaking of which, not all of you are here. Is Serafino alright?
Oh yes, I think he's doing one of his researches. I don't actually know exactly where he is. He can sometimes be hard to find when he is searching for a book or two.
Understandable, understandable. Well, well, that concludes that little bit of business. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Have you considered... Never mind. Thank you for doing your best.
If you excuse me, I will need to go and hunt some in the rack.
Of course. Also, before you do go, I noticed that you do have a new friend with you. I apologize. I'm Mara. You are?
I'm Chimeng.
Chimag. It's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
You are from further east?
Yes.
Interesting. I've
Any
not had
friend
the
of
pleasure of traveling that far east.
Well,
I'm being
this
very
is my first time this far south.
Hopefully we get to know each other a little bit better over the coming days. But I do have an engagement that I'd like to get to, so... Jala, it's been a pleasure, as always. If you wouldn't mind escorting me out of the rack.
Yeah, sure. And
She stands and tucks away her chair, and quickly goes and loops her arm within yours, and begins pulling you along in the direction of the Jewish quarter.
And Cecilia meets Adiala's eyes for a short second as she grows up. And he can see
turn
not
and stare at you as well, like with.
yeah, and she looks like angry. It can seem like she's trying to hide it, but then she like breaks eye contact and starts walking in the other way.
You were taken by the arm and dragged towards the Jewish quarter, until eventually you break the boundaries of where the rack is established, and she steps into a very familiar streetway to the original three of you. The streetway that you very much know leads to a portion of the Jewish quarter where the boundaries of reality seem to have issues. At which time she turns to you and says, "It's been a pleasure. Stay safe."
Before you go, I don't feel like it's fair to leave this boon to Cecilia.
It may not feel fair, but it is what she has chosen.
Could I...
You don't want to go through with the words that you're thinking.
Okay. If that is what you say, then
It's okay. She comes closer to you, pats you a few times on the cheek, and says, "Cecilia knows what she's doing. No offense, but she is the most learned of the three of you. Outside of Serafino's more interesting studies."
yeah. You are certain that I shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
step in? Okay.
That would be something that would very much anger the rest of your coterie.
Offering to take her boon on me?
Yes.
Okay.
Never go around someone and do that. Not without talking to them first.
If you say so. Will you be alright from here?
I know my way around the interesting parts of the Jewish quarter, so yes.
Yeah, we've been around there before. It's weird.
Well, it always has... most times it helps to have a friend within the Cappadocians before traveling within the Jewish quarter. Something I'm sure you will come to learn. Once you actually properly meet some Cappadocians, they don't usually tend to flaunt their existence around the rest of the city, even though they're always here.
Okay. I don't believe I've met any. That I'm aware of.
Stay safe.
Anyway,
Don't do
yeah,
anything stupid.
you as well. I'll sincerely try.
With that, she turns with a smile and heads further into the Jewish quarter.
And I'll head back to our table to find Chimeg.
Okay. As you go to do that, Cecilia, your preferred method of hunting this evening?
This evening. Well, I think she this time would actually walk the streets in an alley, almost like pretending to take shortcuts. Maybe she would get attacked by someone. She's mostly angry, and she is hunting, and she is more up to hurting someone today.
Okay, in that case, trying to give an air off that you're sort of the bumbling wanderer who doesn't know exactly what area they're stepping into and might be a little bit vulnerable to attack, if I'm reading that correctly.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me a... Here's an interesting one. Appearance, performance.
All right.
2 successes. All right. You aren't necessarily attacked while you are moving about the various different alleyways. However, you do find yourself in the interesting situation of having your village idiot trying to drunkenly smooch on you.
Wait, what? Jala's doing what?
The other village idiot.
The other village idiot, yes, yes. The non-turned one.
Are we alone?
Absolutely.
Well, she would take a look around, and then she would be like, "Oh, I've been waiting for you to come approach me."
I'm sure you have. This will be fun.
And then she will go in for the kiss,
Mm-hmm.
and then she'll first kiss him normally, and then she would turn to bite him,
Mm-hmm.
and take another position so she's behind him. And as she is biting, she's continuing biting and taking 1 or 2 blood. But then she also covers his mouth, and she starts to move bones within his stomach.
Oh, great. Okay, all right. Your DM was not fully prepared for vicissitude.
No one is ever prepared.
It's worse than the Spanish Inquisition. All right, so this is a mortal having this done to them, so this is going to be interesting. What would you like to do?
All right, she wants to break off one of his ribs and pull it out. And then she wants to rip up a wound so it looks like someone has actually stabbed him through there. So she's basically first removing the bone and then using his own bone to give him a puncture wound where it is.
Interesting. Okay. Go ahead and give me a dexterity bodycraft. I'm only going to call for... Let's see here. Let's go for difficulty, regular difficulty of difficulty 6.
3 successes.
3 successes. Yeah, easily you reach into his body as you watch as the flesh molds and melds around your hand. You easily come to grasp onto one of his ribs, and with a swift tug, you can feel it snap and break off. And you can easily pull it out and then stab him as many times as you would like with a sharpened rib.
Yeah, she only stabs him once, but she still holds him, trying to make sure he doesn't make sound. And if she noticed that he's too strong, she would bite him to try to very confuse him with Euphoria.
Unfortunately, for him, once the kiss has been initiated the first time, it's very hard for him to, even in this dangerous situation, fight back at all. Especially if Cecilia is, essentially walking a circle around him to get behind him and continuing to deliver onto him the kiss. The pain is sort of being masked by the drug that is the kiss. And there's little to no resistance. Maybe a few whimpers beneath your hand, maybe an attempt to get away here or there, but very weakly done. As his muscles are in a state of absolute relaxation, it doesn't exactly lend well to trying to immediately resist, despite the small flow of adrenaline that does get to his heart in time. It wasn't enough.
Yeah. She let him experience the pain for a while, not too long, and then she will drink, so she has drank a total of 3 blood from him.
Mm-hmm.
If it's needed, if she sees he bleeds too much from the wound, like he might bleed out, she will go in with Vishtud and try to lower the amount of blood that can be pushed out through the wound, so to say.
Okay, give me a difficulty 5, dexterity, bodycraft.
Yeah. Yes, she doesn't want him to die, just to have a constant forever hurt in his where it is.
Interesting. Okay. So with 2, you're able to deliver quite a severe amount of pain mixed in with the euphoria and pleasure of the kiss. And when you notice that he's going to begin having definite medical complications, you easily begin going through and doing patchwork fixes here and there, making sure that the bone marrow itself from the rib that you've taken doesn't enter his normal bloodstream and begin to poison him from within. Things like that. But eventually he does slap to the ground unconscious and is helpless, but you're reserved to not killing him.
I take his coin purse.
Okay. You receive 4 gold and 34 silver.
Did you say 4 gold?
4 gold, yeah.
That was more than I thought I would get.
Oh, yeah.
Then she would take a knife and slice off the belt, like where the coin purse was, so it looks like someone has actually used a sharp object to get it. So it looks more like a robbery.
Okay.
And then she walks out
All right.
and thinks, well, I didn't get so much blood from that because I used 2 blood to do my pain.
Very much so. Excuse me.
Right. She will, after that, start moving back to the tables where the other ones are sitting, if they will still be there when she comes back.
Absolutely. In the meantime, unless Chimeg wanted to wander off and do her own thing, Ajala would make his way back.
Yeah, Shimek will still be there, and she would have ordered in. There's bars around this area, right?
There
Or at
are
least some kind of-
essentially what you're dealing with here in the rack is it's a massive social gathering area, mainly for merchants. So there are quite a few restaurants, tea houses, hookah bars, things like that, that have their doors essentially open 24/7 for people who request services. And it's just a matter of getting the attention of one of the stalls or one of the attendants that they've placed outside of their establishment to get a service from them.
Yeah, she's going to try to get herself a stiff drink, and then she sits down at the table again.
If nothing happens between the two of you.
If Gala returns and sits down, he'll be like, well, that went different than expected.
I have no idea what happened.
Is that
It
I
was
didn't
just
expect
very
her to
uncomfortable.
Offer herself in a live boon. I expected her to try and negotiate. Usually she's. As in, I should be carrying that boon, not her. This is not her responsibility.
What the life boon?
It's a very, very heavy price to pay.
Hmm.
Basically,
I'd like
Madame
servitude.
basically. As far as I understood, it means that she can call upon Cecilia now whenever she wants to until she really, really endangers Cecilia's life. It's only after that that it would end.
Hmm.
As far as I understand, I'd have to ask Cecilia to be sure, but I'm not sure the subject is a good one to broach right now.
Yes.
It's not long into the two of your conversation that you do hear a familiar voice in the distance. It's not the voice of Cecilia, it is the voice of Serafino, boisterously, overcompensatingly laughing to a particularly horrible joke that you didn't hear the exact contents of a few tables down. As you look over to find the source of where Serafino's voice is coming from, you quickly spot him at a table of two merchants, one particularly obese, the other a bit on the skinnier but very, very much flamboyant side. And it looks like he's having a grand old time entertaining them with fine wines, and also it appears that Serafino has most recently, either he has or they have brought over women for entertainment. But a few handshakes are done. There are some respectful goodbyes that are said before Serafino stands, turns, brushes himself off, and his posture, his attitude, returns to that more of his usual neutral side before he begins to walk away from the table, and his eye would catch the two of you.
I'll make my way to them to go and say hi. Sorry, just taking notes.
Evening.
And hey, how have you guys been? Sorry I had to go away. I had some business to attend to.
I can tell. What's that about?
Oh, just making some deals with some merchants, you know, special books and getting some money on the side. And these people are just so mundane. You can literally please them with anything. You just get them drunk, give them some whores, and they'll give you anything you want. Got a great deal off of it as well.
Practical.
This is for the DM. Can I say I got some gold off of that deal on my time off?
Yeah, I would say you would have easily been able to earn about 10 gold off the deal in total. Also, one of the main important things that you would have gotten done is establishing a longer communication range for yourself. So if you ever need to get a letter either from Jerusalem to Damascus or Damascus to from here to Acre, you have established yourself a line of communication of a guild of merchants that can go ahead and deliver letters like that without having to wait for the normal postal services, which can take months just to get a letter from Jerusalem up the coast to Acre.
Okay. So basically, I've extended our communications, so our letters will be quicker to find the people they have to. I got some gold off of it. I think it was a pretty good night. Sorry if I missed anything.
Yeah, you missed something, all right.
What happened?
Well, Mara was here, we offered potentially something in exchange for her dropping the whole case.
How much and when?
She asked a life boon,
Oh, fuck.
and Cecilia offered to take that on her.
And you let Cecilia alone after that?
She went to hunt like instantly after.
And no one went to keep an eye on her?
I'm sure she needs to work some stuff out.
Yeah.
This isn't
Yeah,
good.
that's good.
This is not good at all. We should at least keep a distance and keep an eye out. See if she doesn't get into any trouble.
I'm not sure if we should disrespect her privacy right now.
Doesn't need to know, does she? Just keeping an eye, I guess. It's okay. I'll ask Bucktruck if he doesn't show up by tomorrow morning.
I think she was gonna be back. Wouldn't?
I'm hoping that she'll be back.
Yeah, I actually don't know. So I'll ask Bucktruck in the morning if she's not here.
And it's on those
Okay.
words that you see Cecilia appear out of an alleyway, dust herself off a little bit, and she's good to go as she spots the rest of the table.
She looks over, and you see that she smiles and starts walking back to the table, like she normally does when she's in her normal persona.
Hi, Cecilia. How are you?
Hello. Oh, so did it go well on whatever you were doing?
Oh, yeah, I actually got us to get better communication, so our letters will actually be faster. I got some money, and I got some contacts in the Merchants Guild.
That's very good. That will be very useful.
And you apparently got something because of Ajala. How are you dealing with that? Are you okay? Do you need help? If anything, we'll help you with that boon.
Oh, I expect that at least Adiala would help with that boon. But
As in, I expected you to try and negotiate, not to offer yourself like the very instant.
you don't understand what happened there. When no one stepped in to talk instead of me, I had an option to either point out who is actually responsible in our team, or to just take it on me.
Or take one for the team.
Because if I were to point that, yeah, Adiala take it, what would she actually think from that? Either that
Ajala.
you're my lapdog, or you are the one responsible.
Yep, exactly.
What if I go to her and suggest me instead?
She'll know that you're feeling guilty, and probably you did it, and she'll have the power to figure it out and kill you.
At least there's a risk. She might think you're trying to be compassionate, but it's a risk that's not worth taking. And even if I hate being on the life boon of some Tremere, it is still war is coming. And my skills are not the ones that are good for a war, meaning that she probably will not send me as a first resort to handle stuff. But what if she got an assassin as a life boon? How many missions would she use for that? Things come to that?
I think it would depend on the person that she would want to assassin.
Well, she doesn't have to pick. She can take easy targets first. Or at least if something is threatening her, that will be used kind of instantly. That is not skills I have. And she didn't want a large boon or something Danish. She wanted a life boon. And she wants to stay in Jerusalem for a long time. The chances of her sending me out to fight is slim. Not impossible, depending on what threat she's under.
Anyway, don't you worry. We'll find a way.
So we didn't have anything else to offer, as everything we had to offer had been unfortunately crushed.
We're
by that.
too young and not influential enough to offer anything.
Exactly.
The death of those that she really dislikes might have been Well, probably not.
She also know that if we ask this, we are in a position of not having that much, and as we're not offering anything specific, leaving it up to her, why would she settle for anything less?
Exactly.
There is benefits of being under a life boon. A life boon is kind of useless if the target dies.
And there is a war coming. Might still be lucky that she gets off.
That could happen. We
Or
will
it could be
see.
arranged.
There is also a chance she failed in order to keep her sister away, and then the life boon would be void. But hopefully, this matter will not be investigated. And that would be a conversation I don't want to have, to try to convince her why the offer doesn't is legitimate anymore. Because kindreds don't like losing things they have won.
Guess so.
Let's just hope that it works. And, well, if she wants me to handle something, I can of course ask my friends to do it, so... I will hope, Adiala, that you will be there if something happens that I have to do that I'm not up to.
Yeah, me too, because, well, it is more on me. Like, it shouldn't be on you.
Yes. If you would have stepped in during the negotiations and said that you could take it, it could have been seen as more you didn't want me to take it or something else. That's why I gave time for you to...
I'm sorry I wasn't there.
I completely.
I didn't know.
interrupted that.
Yeah, I could not prepare you before to say what will happen in the life boon. I hope that it wouldn't come to things like that.
Is there
Anyway,
is there anything we can do to help you right now for you to have some fun and take your head off things?
I need more food because there is not enough blood around here that is not trying to walk their own way.
Sure, I think we can get you that, no problem. I'm gonna walk up to the bar and ask if there's any male companions available.
Going over to some of the local bars and seeing if any of them have companionship on sale. It's not very hard to find. Eventually, you are pointed to a stall where such services are available. And companionship is definitely at an affordable price here in the rack. It'll only cost you about 5 silver.
Price is not a problem. I'll leave 10 silver there and say, when my friend comes here, I want her to pick whoever she wants.
The individual who takes the money just gives you a wry smile and says, "Absolutely, sir, absolutely."
Okay, so I will go back and say, Cecilia, don't you worry. Do you know that stall over there? I've arranged for some companion for you. You can choose anyone you want and have fun. And it's all paid for as well.
Such a gentleman, she says.
Also, you can take 2. Why not? Double the fun.
Yes. You will see. I will... Well, first, what do we do now? Now we have solved the worst crisis of our group, somewhat. Now we have only the small war thing happening.
I think before the war starts, we should start thinking about money. But that's just me. Just make something our business to be profitable.
Yeah.
And I think Ajala needs to go have a look at his Potter lady. That she must be worried sick about him.
Yeah. That and food.
And maybe take her business over. Who knows? And ask for our contacts, and we could take more businesses in the area. So we'd have like a sustainable coin source
Well,
for days to
Angel
come.
Lady is 1 blood point out of 3.
That as well, yeah. And I could go to another place, and just keep extending our contacts so that we can actually have some influence where we live, instead of just being the drainers that live here and feed off things.
Right.
Yeah, I think that I will start working on Alexis. Get to know what he wants with me, and maybe try to get him to decide to choose a side somehow.
I could go with you. I think, I don't know. It's ever since Alexis gave me access to his library, no questions asked, and I feel like I am a bit closer to him, and it'll be okay if I actually talk to him with you. I don't know. I think he likes me. I'm not sure. At least he has an interest in me. I don't know if he likes me. There's something in him that is interested.
There was a fight pit near his library as well, right?
A fight?
A fight pit.
Oh, a fight pit. Yes, I believe there was. For mercenaries and bare knuckle fighters, amateurs.
Might be interested in looking into that, and I'll also look at at Gmeg.
Yeah, I'd like to join for that.
If we're going there anyway, might be entertaining, I guess.
Don't forget to place some bets before Chimek fights, because she's a woman. Everyone's gonna think she has no power at all. And that's an extra source of income you can do.
Got
Sure.
a lot of times.
I'm
Yeah.
not really petite though.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Men will always see you as weak because you're a female. And you can prove them wrong and make some money out of it. So why not?
I'm fine with that.
However, food first, I'm guessing.
I've also been wanting to, if there is a war coming, I don't know much about fighting Kindred. I'd like to change that.
We don't know either.
Well, Adiala has had some encounters.
Yeah, and look what
Yeah.
that got us.
Well,
We can train amongst each other if you'd like. But we probably need to leave the city for that.
I know a few places outside of the city that are fit to train.
Yeah.
Oh yes. We could train outside the city. That is actually a good idea, I think.
you said that Alexis had granted you some kind of access to his zone.
Yes, to his private library where he has books of all kinds from very ancient times to up to date, guarded
Does
by
he have
an
books on
evil.
warfare?
Possibly, yeah. Definitely, must be a shelf somewhere. I mean, it took me about 10 minutes to walk from one side to the other of his library.
Either that place is a massive mess or it's gigantic.
It's gigantic and it's underground.
Yeah, we'll probably have to be.
And it has a vicious dog from hell guarding it.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious to meet that creature as well sometime. Not too up close, but still.
You can pet Lucius after you give him a bone.
All 3 heads of it.
One at a time.
3 heads.
Yes, 3 heads, deformed, highly drooling, needs to have a bone every 20 minutes or I'll rip your head off.
Is that a ghoul?
I have no idea. But also it might be because Alexis is talented enough to transform someone into that kind of dog. But we'll never know.
Well, I will go and eat some. And then let's meet at, I don't know, at the Painted Lady.
Yeah,
Mm,
sure.
we'll take
Yeah,
a
also, if anyone wants to eat, it's on me tonight because I made some money. So it's fine if you want to hire some companions for your rooms.
Well, I'm probably gonna be at Painted Lady in 45 minutes then, and then I go to Alexis. So we can go together from there.
Let's take you up on that.
Sure, no problem.
Do I still have eyes on the man I saw earlier?
You will have to remind your DM as which man.
The one that looked like a herdsman.
Yes. He slipped in and out through the crowds a couple of times, talking to various different individuals. But for the most part, you have kept your eyes on him for the most part. And currently, it looks like he is talking to an individual, pale, tall, maybe about 6'1", barely 6'2", possibly. European. Bald with a long beard that goes about down to his mid chest, and wearing robes of the bishopric, and also would be accompanied by two armed guards of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
Interesting. Does it seem to be like friendly, like they know each other, or like business, or?
The herdsman is being very respectful. It looks like he's going out of his way to be respectful for some reason. Often something you don't see within your kind when it comes to religious figures, especially those outside of the. Well, I should rephrase that. Something that you would see when it comes to religious figures within the Tingri faith. Outside of the Tingri faith, quite the opposite. Usually violent toward.
Alright. Well, I'm gonna say to the others then. I have something I'm interested in. We'll meet back at the. What's it called? The Painted Lady?
Yes.
Up to you, really. It was only my treat for being away for one very important night.
Well, see you then. And she'll move towards him.
Fantastic. Meg splits off from the group for her own mini adventure. What would you like to go ahead and do?
I want to try to approach and see if I can overhear what they're talking about.
Okay. What method do you want to take? Extremely obvious that you're approaching and listening in, something along the lines of trying to blend in with the crowds and looking like perhaps you're window shopping or stall shopping, I should say. Or perhaps just switching tables where you get up from this table, find one that's closer, sit down, pretend like you're doing something, reading something, drinking something, and listening in. What is your preferred method of trying to accomplish this?
Yeah, more the latter. Just trying to keep out of eyesight and find a spot.
Okay. In that case, go ahead and make me a manipulation subterfuge. Yeah, manipulation subterfuge.
Mm-hmm.
Zero successes. Okay. You do your best to. Oh, no, that is not in the system, unfortunately. I've been running back and forth between 20th and 5th, so willpower immediately came to mind. You do your best to try and slip into some of the crowds and make your way closer and closer. But it's your eyes that betray you, unfortunately. While you begin to find the opportune locations where you could either listen in or pretend to be doing something else, unfortunately your eyes are attracted to every movement that they make that makes it look like they might be moving or something like that to a different location, and your kinsman does not take notice. However, the individual that he's talking to does. Doesn't say anything, doesn't make any odd motions, but you, for the briefest of moments, lock gazes with him. Gonna check on something real quick. Dun 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 dun. Abilities. Here we go. 235. here we go. Mm. Trying to see what opposing roll is going to be for this. Ah, interesting. Okay. So I need to make a roll for him real quick. Da, 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 da. So, /R, that's going to be 6d10. Difficulty 7. I'll check it again. Difficulty 7. Okay. All right. As your gazes lock and you get within that hearing range, you find yourself overwhelmingly interested and drawn to this individual, so much so that your kinsman kind of fades into the background. And every move this individual in bishopric robes makes catches your eye, and you just can't stop focusing on him until eventually you notice that he is standing in front of you. I don't believe we've had the pleasure of meeting. You are?
I'm Shemeg.
G-Mag. That's a beautiful name.
People keep telling me.
Well, G-Mag. Let's see here. I'm debating when he wants to let you know. Alright. You may call me Father Restusi. It's a pleasure. I must say I've never seen you around the city before, however you have an air about you that is exotic yet familiar. And when he says that, he flashes a single fang.
Well, it is good to meet you, I suppose. I'm sorry I wasn't really interested in you. I was more interested in seeing someone of my own here.
My bad. I am so sorry. Oh, I tend to have that effect sometimes. 1 second. And he consciously turns off. As suddenly you realize, oh, he's not as interesting as he was before. And your kinsman comes full into view, kind of standing next to you at this point, just listening in. That's unfortunate. I don't want to interrupt, perhaps, a meeting of fellows. So, in that case, if you ever do find yourself in need of some entertainment, perhaps, in the city of normal variety, you can find me at the Holy Sepulchre. Either way. Ratua, it's been a pleasure as always. And he leaves.
He makes stands there for a moment and like silently curses herself.
Eventually you hear over your shoulder, don't worry, he's normally like that. I don't recognize you. You from one of the northern tribes or further east?
Norden.
Oh, okay. I myself am not a part of the Golden Horde. I'm, well, more part of the whole Comet out further east. Doing some business on the Silk Road, things like that. You know these people. Always into their spices and how they can circumnavigate the Arabs.
Who was that man?
That is Father Restusi. He is a very prominent figurehead here.
All right.
Hilaro
I'm sorry.
Rasusi. Sorry. I should give you his full title.
Larry.
Or was it Polerio? Something weird along those lines. I don't always pay attention to European people's names.
I'm sorry, I was just curious to see someone
Haven't
else.
run into my kind, and since you've left the tribes, gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're out here.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jimeg.
G-Mag. Oh, wow. Well, I'm sure you heard what he called me, but you can call me the Feather.
Nice to meet you. What are you doing so far south?
Negotiating a bit of trade for the herd.
Hmm.
A bit of our kinsmen have decided to go ahead and move into, well, what is that place called? It's, the Sassanid Empire. And a particular issue arose. Some complications, and now we're seeking a different way of going through in order to get to some local brethrens out in Punjab.
All right. You're in trouble?
Well, there's been interesting development in Punjab as of recent. A lot of fertile open land, ripe for the taking, with a very, how should I put it, malleable military presence.
Interesting. How far away is this?
If you're taking an entire tribe with you, about a month's time. If you're going by yourself, you could probably get there within 2.5, 3 weeks.
Right.
Also, I should mention that it looks like some of the other tribes have decided to take up with getting contracts with a group known as the Tamil Kings to the south of that continent. So, if you're ever interested in going that way, there are some interesting things taking place. But I'm boring you. What can I do for you? Any trade that you or your people need, I can facilitate.
What kind of trade do you do?
Mostly in the commodities. If you need anything, say any of your treasures shifted over to more easily movable goods, we can go ahead and get that done for you. At least in the time that we're here in the Middle East. Also, we do have a excellent weaponsmith. If you need to go ahead and get any iron work done or anything like that. As I'm, quite well aware that not every tribe travels with a good iron worker.
See. Do you know what he was? Father Aristuki.
I have an idea, but not a full picture. He doesn't come off to me as normal. Not in any way. He's got this way of looking at you, and then suddenly you're stuck in his gaze. And that lends me to believe that, there's something off there. And I don't know if that's an off that I should kill him for, or an off that means I should stay very far away. But
Probably
does
the
pay
latter.
handsomely.
Does your clan have protection against those kind of things?
My. He begins looking you up and down. Do you have any sort of symbolage of the Tingri religion on you?
Yes. For example, she has the she has like ceremonial. Fuck,
Ceremonial.
I'm losing the word. Ceremonial like blue ribbons for the hunt.
You notice that when he sees that, he kind of focuses on there for a moment before breaking back and coming back to a normal eye contact and says, we have our usual shamans, and I'm sure they are quite up to the task of taking on any such deviance.
I see. Are you gonna be around here for long?
I myself, as well as my group, who handles more the trade of our tribe, possibly another week and a half, and then we'll move on to catch up with the rest of the tribe. But the tribe itself and its ironworker will only be here for about another 4 days.
I see.
You should
You mind
join us
meeting me here?
on the new moon. We're gonna have a little bit of a celebration.
How far until the new moon?
2 days.
I would love to.
Good. You can find us just the crossroads between here and Bethlehem. We're up on one of the larger hills overlooking. We've already built up quite the large stone pile and, gonna honor the fallen warriors, things like that. It should be a pretty good celebration. Don't worry about bringing drinks, and be sure to bring your friends.
All right. I'll see you then.
Certainly. Well, and with that, he goes over to one of the tables and picks up a large sack of things and slings it over his shoulder and begins heading towards one of the city gate, the Dung Gate to be particular. As he also tightly grips with his left hand his blade as he begins to scan the people that are walking by him. But other than that, he just walks on off.
Fine. Then I'm going to. Well, if the others have left already, head towards the painted lady.
Meanwhile, Ajala.
Feeding.
Feeding?
If he has any opportunity, he'll probably take Serafino up on the offer. Not be too picky in who or what. For once, he's just hungry.
In that case,
So depending on how many companions he's willing to pay, he would go up to 4 companions.
is Sweet Serafino willing to go to that many?
Yes, I'm buying for everyone.
In that case, you and Cecilia go ahead and get your feeding out of the way. Does Serafino decide to also feed while you're here?
No, I'm good. I'm actually full.
Okay, good.
Feed
And
2 people. But
Mm-hmm. 10 and Ajala, would that be 3?
4 people, if you don't mind.
4 people. Sure, I'll ask you for a boon in the morning.
3.
20,
so
30.
knock off
Okay,
another 20 silver from your
20 silver. Okay.
3 is fine in that case, and I'll pay the 4th out of my own pocket.
Okay, 15 silver then.
15.
15 from me.
Alright.
No, 5 from you, 15 from him.
Okay.
Alright. Done. From the sheet.
Okay.
I'm just gonna have to find where I keep my money again.
see.
I left mine on my character sheet.
Yeah, it's on my character sheet as well. The question is where information, I'm guessing. Yep.
Does Cecilia have plans to mutilate any of her other victims?
No, she will though hurt herself during the thing, but not enough to actually give wounds. But she would, yeah, take it
You will
out of
go
something that
full
doesn't
on
leave.
email. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
pain is good in all forms. That's what
Yes.
Lilith teaches us.
Yes. And you are very, very easily able to cause yourself severe pain.
Good to know. Now I have both physical and mental pain at the moment.
Mm.
And then I
Next
go
up,
to the painted lady.
you'll be writing a Papa Roach song. All right, moving on. But you go ahead and head to the Painted Lady. Is there anything that Jala or Serafina would like to get done while you're still in the Rack District before heading on to the Painted Lady?
No.
No, I'm good.
Okay, fantastic. Then the four of you break apart. Some of you actually ended up staying together and going to feed, but breaking apart once you got there. And doing your own business, and once everything is completed, you go ahead and regroup at the Painted Lady, all within your due time. Some of you may have even gotten there a bit earlier and had a few drinks. Waved to Canis as Canis moseyed on by. Didn't seem to particularly, hunker down and eavesdrop into any of your conversations or anything like that. And your Nosferatu friend is, of course, in the alleyway, staring.
Of course he is.
All right.
Painted
So
lady then.
you're outside the painted lady now.
Assumably, all of you are outside, unless you want to meet inside.
No,
sorry.
Cecilia would meet outside. All right. So let's move over to Alexis then. I guess Serafina, you're the only one that has been there. We have only heard about it. So maybe you show the way.
Before we go, let me quickly offer the barkeep a drink.
Okay.
No, Ulvi.
All right. Go ahead and mark off 3 silver.
Right, and a blood point, I'm guessing.
Yes. As you get a wry smile back after he's consumed the alcohol that you so blatantly offer to buy him. Well, it's always good drinking with you.
Indeed,
I don't-
it is.
I only see you guys when you want to, go to bed and things like that. But hopefully, every once in a blue moon, you decide to stick in, maybe play some cards, things like that. We should catch up sometime.
We should indeed, as in, we tend to stick around here anyway, so we probably will.
Yeah. Make this sort of like a base of operations,
Exactly.
Pats you on the shoulder.
Anyway, we've still got some business to do in town. We'll be back later.
Yeah, have fun.
Have a good one. Well, that's taken care of.
All right. Well, as it's 6:01, we're going to go ahead and take a break here, and we will come back for the meeting with Alexis. If Alexis is even home, we'll see. All right. BRB, folks. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Children of the Cup. All right, so all of you have gone ahead and man up outside of the Painted Lady, and I assume you begin the walk to Alexis's place with Serafino in the lead.
Yes.
Actually, as they join up, she makes and say, I might have gotten a few more plans.
What plans?
Well, there's a clan in the area of, well, Mongolians. And they invited us for a celebration. Well, me, but he said that you are welcome to join. It would be nice to get myself a clan again.
Oh, when is this celebration?
In 2 nights.
Yeah, if you have not run into any other life-threatening situations, that seems fine. That seems like a nice change of luck.
Yeah, it would be wonderful. If none of us kill anyone in the meantime.
Not so- Well, they seems to be here somewhat for trade, but at least the man I was talking to looked quite capable.
Trade. I might have some insights on that too. Nice.
Well, at least partly trade. But yeah,
Serafino, do you take them the normal way to the butcher slash tea shop slash library
Yes.
slash pit fighting arena?
Yes. And knock on the door.
Fantastic. So you immediately go in and knock on the golden door.
Hmm.
Okay.
The fighting pit was not there, right? It's in the front desk or something.
The main so the building's supposed to be split into two, where half of it is a tea shop, half of it is a butcher's place. That's what it is on the face. So when you first walk into the place, you would immediately be greeted by fresh meats of various different animals. It looks like most recently camel that's been freshly butchered and is on sale at a premium price, of course. But also they do have off to the side, sort of walled off from the butcher shop itself, a golden doorway. It's clearly not a made of solid gold golden doorway, but instead it has golden leafing here and there and some of the design work and all. It's mainly made of sturdy metal. With one of those stereotypical, you're going to a shady part of an alleyway and they have the slide lock that they look through built into it. And you would quickly see that Serafino makes his way up to that door and knocks a few times before eventually the slide lock opens and a pair of eyes glare out of at the four of you for a brief moment before it closes and no words are exchanged, and there is the sound of it unlocking and it slightly opens, but it does not swing open, which is of course Serafino's cue to pull it open and, as he would as a gentleman, motion for all of you to enter.
True. Come right in.
Quickly, what you would find as you go inside is a number of various different silk and velvet cushions that sort of line the inner walls of the room that you step into, and there's a very short-sitting round oak table sits in the center of the room with a large hookah in the center. There are actually about 20 individuals of various different classes sitting around talking, smoking hookah, drinking tea, discussing amongst themselves quite openly, while Alexis simply sits on a golden-lined pillow towards the back wall where Serafino knows the entrance to the library itself is.
I will go to Alexis and quickly pace to ask him if it's okay if we all go to the library before everyone gets there.
He gives you a warm smile and nods and goes and stands. Greets the three of you as you come in behind Serafino and taps on a few things here and there and pulls away at something behind him before a small passageway opens. He moves his pillow out of the way and begins walking down a flight of stairs wordlessly.
Let's follow him then, guys.
The
Thanks for following.
courtesy, he like said hi to us.
You all are brought down a series of various different staircases until eventually you reach a large metal door that he quickly opens, and a low, persistent growl comes from the other side. At which point, light begins to fill the little passageway of the staircase that you're in, and he steps into a large, grandiose library. Finely kept, and the only signs that it's been recently used is the small table within has a stack of books that Serafino had previously been searching through, but immaculately placed on that table as to not leave a mess of any sort. And the chest of bones is already been opened, and it looks like one of the bones is being chomped on by the three-headed hound. But he quickly motions the four of you in, closes the door behind you, and gives you all a wry smile. Well, wasn't expecting
Thank you.
a visit.
I wasn't expecting you being so acceptant of everyone coming in, but thank you for the hospitality. We would like to use your books again.
Yes, that's fine.
And I want to speak with you. I mean, it's been long overdue.
And
Yes.
also, this is Chimeg, our newest member.
Nice meeting you.
Chimeg, this is Alexis.
You may call me Simukata. He says it specifically to Chimag. So, caught a little off guard. And you hear the sound of a piece of wood being repeatedly tapped on the floor from deep within the library. Until eventually you see coming from around one of the bookshelves an individual probably somewhere around 5'4", 5'5", at the most, hunched over, using a wooden crutch, with a clear heavy limp under a large brown cloak, mostly covered up, with only a few details of their face. Caucasian, late 30s, and heavily scarred. Briefly comes around the corner before Alexis just puts up a hand towards him and he retreats back into the library. So, you would like access to books and also conversation. And he simply points his hand over to the small desk that sits piled high with books. Please, sit. Tea?
Sounds lovely, she says as she moves to sit down.
He gives a sharp whistle, and there's the sound of shuffling feet further back in the library. Well, in that case, sit, please. Serafino, you are free to browse. Ajala, I only have enough seats for 2 of your companions and myself, if you wouldn't mind standing.
That's fine.
Ladies.
Nods and sit down.
He quickly goes over and he moves the books off the table and moves them onto one of the top of one of the shelves neatly before sitting down himself. And a few moments later, a tray of piping hot tea is brought out by that same limping individual who's carrying the tray in one hand and his crutch in the other, before placing it down on the table and then quietly moving off back into the library. So, Chimag? Chimag.
Hey, Mike.
You are You give me the air of a gangrel, and yet I do not think that you are a gangrel.
No, not really.
Interesting. You can tell or not tell me all about that later. But I assume business is in order then.
Business and business. Just wanted to talk a bit. I mean, we said we would.
When I said that we would talk, I thought it would be more myself and you. But yes, your friends are more than welcome to join in the conversation.
Well, I think that I assumed as much as well, that people wanted to look at books, and maybe we would take and talk a little. But we can talk a little like this before.
Well, if that is the case. Ajala, I do have a decent amount of treatises from the Combat of Arms, Sergeant Combat of Arms of Berlin. If you are interested, they are in the fourth shelf back. There's a translated and an untranslated copy. One is in its original German, the other is translated into Egyptian, if you are interested. Can you read Egyptian?
I'm gonna have a look at them.
Very well. You'll find that on the fourth shelf, off my right shoulder. Shemeg, bar back in my library, 12 shelves in, off my right shoulder, on the same row as the treatises from the German combat sergeant. There should be a number of various different accounts of records, I should say, of various different peoples of the Mongolian tribes, accounts of generals, things like that, if you are interested. If not, I have a number of other subjects that could interest you, if you are not the sort to delve into conquest, things like that. I have plenty of, well, specialized books as well.
Thank you.
Serafino,
Yes.
are we studying curses still, or have we moved on?
Oh, we've moved on.
And now what, pray tell, is your fancy?
War clans.
War clans of a particular area, perhaps?
I think I could start with Mongolians and then move around in the Asian area.
Interesting. One second, your DM has to look up the name of a particular group, because he's not going to suggest the Mongolians straight away, but he is going to suggest someone.
I think your mic is a little further away than normal.
You sound a bit quiet compared to earlier.
Is this better?
Way.
Now it's inside your mouth.
All right. Is this better?
Yay!
Right. One second, folks. Okay. So he looks over at you, Serafino, and he says, I believe that it'd be better to start closer to the Middle East and then move further on. So perhaps instead of starting immediately with the Mongolians, you should try the Avari and then move from there. So from the Avari further east, as the Avari do stretch quite a decent way and take up quite a few customs and religious customs as well as the Mongolians, but it will give you a good primer, as the Avari still do share some of our Western customs.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any information on where it is, or should I just go for it and search for it?
I believe the Mongolian steppe tribes, in particular, their customs, things like that, is going to be third shelf on my left.
Third shelf on your left.
Yeah,
Do you want me to
bottom
come
row.
back to feed Lucius, or you guys can take care of that?
I think I can manage, but thank you for the offer.
No worries. Thank you for the books.
And presumably, as the three of you split off to go look at books, unless
Mhm.
Chumek has other plans. Okay. Well, now that we find ourselves in relative privacy.
Yes.
How have you been?
It has been a lot of things happening all the time. I guess when a war starts, some few days after you come, you start to wonder if you are bringing bad luck with you.
I'm sure there are many people who have had both the unpleasant misfortune of superstition and things like that being dragged upon them when they arrive so close to a war's beginning. But we shall ignore such superstitions.
Yes, of course. But other than that, it's been some good nights. And I started to get my bearing, learning which kindreds are around and what places are around.
Good. Very good. It may be rude of me to ask, but have you learned any additional information as to who your father might truly be? I know that Bartholomew has adopted you, as he says, but I'm always interested to know.
Not yet. I am doing some research into that as well. But I actually don't know yet. But it will be fun to find out, and I don't see any reason to keep it a secret from you when I do.
It should be fun, indeed. How has your discovery been going so far?
I have actually made some great leaps in my own abilities, I think. I have gotten a hang of it. As you might see that I have changed a bit since the first time we saw each
very
other.
much so. Serafino, much so. He is no longer... I am glad that he took my advice. He is no longer the skulking, hooded, knowledgeable type, but instead someone who is quite conversational. And
Definitely.
easier on the eyes.
Well, definitely. I am hungering to learn more, though. But I
One
find
always
myself...
does.
Exactly. I find myself in lack of a good place to do the experiments. Like a place like this. Are there many tunnels under Jerusalem and complexes that man might...
Wide, creepy smile crawls across his face as you say that. There are a veritable number of catacombs that lie under Jerusalem. The city itself has been built upon itself many times over its many destructions. In particular, the tunnels that we currently reside within, although you may see a vast library before you, at one point this was a dank cavern of a tunnel, come from the particular beauty that was 1099.
I see.
I could perhaps suggest a few locations. However, they would not be within the vicinity of your current claimed territory. In fact, most of the relevant and decent spots lie within the Jewish and Muslim quarter. But certain arrangements could be made.
You mean an excavation of some sort?
No, excavation wouldn't be necessary. I myself have already pre-planned certain areas, shall we say, and I could easily, perhaps for a minor boon, give one away.
Well, that sounds interesting. Maybe if there is some place within the Jewish quarter?
Just at the cross-section of the four quarters, I do have a particular place that might be of interest to you. There's a small shop called the Bay Leaf. It would happen to have a similar setup to this current establishment. While there is no butcher shop that lies above, there is instead a small microbrewery.
What are they brewing?
They are under the particular interest of brewing, I believe, what they call hops, imported from north, near not near Acre. It's further north than that. I'm not entirely up on their procedure. I apologize.
And there is no one that has laid claim to that area?
Technically, it falls under my domain.
But you would allow me to do some activities down there, I guess?
For a small price, yes.
Do you have anything in mind, or do you want to save on the minor boon for that?
If you could deliver a small package for me to, well, our good friend Persephone.
I could probably do that.
Excellent. His creepy smile does fade.
How big is this package?
No larger than the head of horse.
I see. Well, of course I can give the package to Persephone.
Worry not, it is not a head of a horse.
I did not
That would
worry, I
be-
was a bit excited.
Barbaric.
He's not going Godfather on us.
Not yet. Well, either way, yes, I did find myself very interested in how your progress was going, simply because there are quite a few of us, younger ones of us, who oftentimes, how should I put this, delve too deep first before really knowing the basics. And I would stress that the fundamentals should always be mastered before moving on, as I have seen many abominations created by our kind that oftentimes will turn on their masters.
Well, what can I say more than I will be careful?
That is all I suggest.
Yeah, I have a lot of experimentation I want to do, so I'm not gonna go right in trying to create the biggest, baddest thing I can. I will more fine-tune the preciseness of my touch at the moment.
Good, good. And takes a sip of his tea. It's come to my recent attention that a number of our kind have been drawn over to the Muslim side of things. So I would advise you for the future. There will be a day when one of us does come to this city who is not friendly to you.
I see.
Speaking of which, I suppose that you may also be here in order to secure my people's agreement.
That would be preferably, but at least learn intentions would be a kind thing to learn.
There are many of cases where I would look at the situation that we are in and say that it is best for the Jewish people to stay neutral. However, I am quickly beginning to learn that in these times, such a desire would not be better for the long term. Persecution has its way with our kind,
Indeed it has.
and I do not want a repeat of 1099. You understand?
I understand. Do you, Cecilia, understand? Is the question.
Well, in 1099, when the Christians took Jerusalem, they slaughtered everyone. It didn't matter who you were. But they were particularly brutal to Muslims and Jewish individuals, even though they still brutalized Christians, funnily enough. There ended up it ended up where the Muslims who were being slaughtered sort of ended up in a crossfire between the Christians who raided the city. And they took a very particularly heavy toll. Almost to the point where the Jewish population was, for a brief time, close to non-existent in Jerusalem. And it took some time before the surrounding areas of Jewish populations moved back in.
And Cecilia knows about this.
Hmm.
All right, good. Well, that is, I guess, why you have to choose sides sometimes. At least choose the winner.
That is one of the guarantees that I would very much like to have, but you can never know the true winner of something until the deed is done. So here's what I require from you. Assurances from your lioness that my people will be protected. Number one. And number two, regular updates as to the needs of your kind in order to secure success.
I don't find those two questions unreasonable. I even think that Lioness might agree to those.
I believe so as well. That's why I bring them to you. And while I would have sought this information with Ezekiel, Ezekiel is no longer in the city, something that does trouble me slightly, seeing as he was assigned previously as the ambassador to Jerusalem when the Diet of Olives was created.
Do you know why he's missing?
No. That is your personal task.
Indeed.
Find out for me why Ezekiel, our so-called ambassador of the Diet of Olives, is no longer here. And if he can be persuaded to reassert himself in the area for assurance purposes.
Alright. Well, that sounds reasonable to me.
When those things have been done, know that I will have a heavy consideration in joining your side.
And you think that those around you would follow as well?
I know those around me would follow. While many of your allies, companions, whatever you want to call them, within the Christian section, might say to you, well, Alexis, he has much sway in the Jewish community. He would probably bring most of the community with him. I know for a fact I would bring all of our community with me.
I believe you.
Also, I have something for Ajala that he needs to take care of. A little deviant. Some thin bloods that have moved into the Jewish quarter as of recent.
How many?
2. Normally I don't have a problem with them. However, they have been openly feeding in my quarter. And while I am the sheriff and would put my full attention in dealing with these miscreants, I have other obligations to... well, other obligations at the moment.
Would it be fine if they found a new place to be outside? Or
How he deals
is
with them
there-
is not my issue. Whether he decides to move them, kill them, fuck them, I don't care.
What more do you know about them so we find the right ones?
Young. Very young. Newly turned, I'd guess, within 3 weeks. By their behavior. Also, they seem to hang around the crossroad. That area that I was saying, I have a particular facility that I might be able to lend out to you. Another thing to note is one is a male, one is a female. A certain Nosferatu contact of mine who gathers information for me has notified me that they are possibly brother and sister.
I guess you don't know anything about who kind of created them?
I do not know their clan at the moment, so I would have no way to give you a precise speculation. Although my best guesses, seeing as they are definitely thin blood, it leaves a smaller list of individuals, but I cannot be sure. And I don't exactly want to throw out names at this moment.
Understandable. Alright. We can probably take a look at that as well.
No.
I think that Adjala would not have anything in mind trying to find them.
Beyond that, I would like to know, why is it that Bonifest Stakes
Well, I'm not sure I can give anything of that away yet. But who knows? When all these sides have been chosen and we are all more friends, maybe everyone can know.
understandable. Beyond that, I have nothing else demands-wise. I apologize that I got to such business. It is a necessity.
It is necessity this time. But yeah, back to that place you're talking about then, for more fun. Is it something I can go inspect? Maybe talk to the owners, get it let down?
I would have no issue with that. You will find that the owner is one Ishmael Vasunti, member of our community, but a convert. So you will find him of a mix of European and Middle Eastern descent. I should warn you, if you do not speak French, he does speak French mainly to Europeaners when they first enter his shop, so
I speak French.
very good.
So just say that you sent me, or do you have another name that you use for that?
It is fine to say that Alexis sent you. He will let you inspect as much as you need to.
Does he know about our condition?
He is aware as far as any ghoul would be. Although I should warn you, he is not my ghoul.
I see. Whose school is he?
He is the ghoul of Canis.
Interesting. Well, I guess there'll be no problem if I accept this place. That if I bring people down, he will not ask any questions or be
No.
disturbed.
No.
Perfect.
He has no issue with such things. And even if he does, tell it to higher Canis and it will be dealt with.
Perfect. Well, maybe even more fun then. Have you noticed that the power seems to work even better when a lot of pain is involved?
It is that way for many at the beginning. I myself was on a particular road at one point that dealt with the constant need for pain. And I found that when I put myself in such situations, my powers seem to be more controllable. However, with plenty of study, I have found other means.
Have any books you would recommend to study? Or do you only experiment to that conclusion?
I would suggest keeping a personal journal on all experimentations that you do. Extremely private, though. In order to record every experiment you do. Even when you are doing the simplest of them, Always keep a log of what the condition of your patients are. The more you learn about the kind body, the more easily it is to apply your trade.
I see.
And always know that there are limitations to what you can achieve early on.
Have you created anything more fierce and larger than? And she looks over to the dog.
Lucius is a byproduct of a time when the Jewish tribes were split. A very bloody time. There was a time when I did command a beast that honestly terrified me,
Intriguing.
and thus I had to put it down. So yes. I highly advise that to create such beasts should be taken with the utmost caution and should always have you at the advantage. To the point where you may even want to weaken your beast beyond what it should normally be to ensure that safety.
A good advice, she says, and she sips the tea. But yeah, as I said, my immediate plan is not to create a big beast. But who knows? If war happens to come more to my front door, maybe I will have to.
Has the Night of Drakes within the Caucasus Mountains come to your attention?
Have Cecilia heard that before?
Give me a intelligence occult difficulty 9.
Occult, my best stat. Let's see how it goes. No.
No, you have not heard of this night.
Oh, I have not.
You will not find it recorded within any book, but there are scrolls of back then. To put it to you simply, there was a time when there was a civil war amongst our kind, right before the Tremere became a clan. Particularly bloody, and on that night, many dragons soared and many died. Within that night, there are a number of various different beasts that could be of some interest to you as warnings of what not to do. Although I believe that last I heard, the chronicler of this night disappeared somewhere around the Black Sea.
Well, do you have access to any of those scrolls here?
But I will see what I can do to get access, if they can be found.
Well, I would be interested, of course. To learn more is always good.
There might also be a time when this war gets particularly nasty. And there's a high probability of an individual arriving known as Belisarius Dracul.
Have I heard that name before? The old one?
He is very old. And very brutal. And I would highly suggest that at the time that he does arrive, because I find it highly likely that should this war not be ended within the next 20 years, he will arrive. I suggest going the other way.
And he will have everyone as enemies, or is he part of one? Would he join one of the factions?
That is where the interesting part comes. Both the Lioness and also Hakim have ties to a child of his. Ties that would grant them the bending of his ear. It was one of the background things that I found particularly interest when your kind voted in the Diet of Olives, that you would choose someone who had the ability to bend that child's ear. Although I'm not entirely sure you all even knew.
Maybe we're just lucky.
Or
Ah,
very
fish not-
unfortunate. One or the other.
Well, we don't believe in superstition, as we said.
Have you had the pleasure of meeting the Lupine yet?
No, not yet.
The sisters are on the move, so I'm sure you possibly have a run-in with one of them.
Would that be a very bad meeting?
With the sisters, yes.
Do you think they would come into city?
His eyes drift in the direction of where Chimeg went off to. As he says, much like many of those of us who travel with tribes, there's often a time where one will enter the city.
Well,
Although,
it-
open warfare I do not expect with this particular tribe in a city. While they are very aggressive outside of city limits, in city limits they tend to be luckily civil to an extent. So I
Yeah,
would
don't-
suggest at that time you seek the comforts of traveling with Canis. She can be a very good early warning system for their kind.
she's always around somehow.
That is one of her specialities.
Well, I'll keep her close then. Well, Jerusalem have a lot of things happening. Is it always this exciting?
No. For 300 years we had peace. Then the Christians came.
Well, that's how thing goes, I guess. When people want to expand. She looks down a bit, like not in the tea, but like next to the table, like she's thinking a bit. Have you heard anything about the movement of Montfort in these areas?
I know that there is a fort belonging to the Montforts a few miles to the northeast. Excuse me, northwest.
Yeah, I know about that.
I have also heard that there have been ships with their crest arriving with the docks of Acre. Arriving within the docks of Acre.
Do you mean frequently, or is it coming soon?
Very frequently. Seems that they have secured some sort of lucrative trade line into Damascus. I also hear that there is a Montfort who will be visiting Karak soon.
Who and why?
From what I can tell, there are certain deals that are being made to appease certain individuals within the Muslim faction of the Abbassids. And there is rumor of a second surge of Catholic Knights. Perhaps even a new crusade. That, of course, is followed by rumors that there is a bit of whispering going on within the Vatican that leads to concern about creatures roaming the roaming the streets of Jerusalem and Aram.
Hmm.
I wonder where that came from.
Well, if nights are coming more and more and more, there might be more to look after. But it will probably be in benefit for the holy war between the factions now, for our side. As they'll probably not look so much to the Christian side.
I will have a guest soon if you do not mind. I believe Habiba is set to arrive within an hour.
Mm-hmm. Do you want us to leave before that?
That is entirely up to you. I myself have no problem, but in case any of you have an issue with Habiba.
I don't have any issue. It's more like faction tension, I guess.
And with that, he sips his tea.
Yeah. She also sips the tea. And continues with pleasantry, but she doesn't ask anything more important.
Hmm.
But she makes no move to call the others or to leave or anything.
What do you think of your new companion?
She may. Well, she seems a bit rough around the edges. But I think...
Canis would disagree.
Yeah, I think the roughness of the edges I'm referring to is not her connection to nature, more her connection to a court. But she looks capable. She seems capable in many aspects. And
Have you
I'm
tested
looking
her?
forward. I have not tested her yet, but I will.
Good. And how is Ajala doing?
He's trying to learn to play the game, but he's failing miserably. He might not survive too long, but I We'll try to make sure he does.
And that would lead me to assume that Serafino is Serafino.
Exactly.
Good to know. When you gain a place to do your experiments, do you plan on having Matthews? And you watch as an individual similarly dressed to the one on crutches slowly makes his way around one of the bookshelves and comes towards you. Disrobe. And this individual, once again European, looks to be Sicilian. So a bit of a... looks like he has descent from Naples and possibly parents from somewhere around Tunisia. Goes ahead and takes off his cloak and begins to take off his clothes, and you notice immediately he has hundreds of tiny holes in his chest cavity. And says, "This is one of my experiments."
Does it look like something's wrong with the breast kit, like it's falling in on itself? Or
It
like the bones are gone?
looks... Okay, this is going to be a weird question, and I only know what this looks like because I've looked it up before in the past, because it was extremely disgusting and interesting at the same time. Have you ever seen a roach hive?
A roach hive? No,
Especially
I've not
ones
seen
that are in dead carcasses of animals.
it. I've seen similar things, I think.
It kind of
Well,
looks
I'm
like
gonna-
that.
I'm doing a very dangerous Google search at the moment to make sure.
I'm interested to see what will come up on that.
Actually, it was too friendly. Right. Let's see if I improve that. Alright.
FBI is gonna be on our asses if we search corpse roach hive, but okay.
I did. Oh, this is like super friendly. They don't show the disgustingness of it.
You actually one of the first image I got was this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
An episode from Family Guy.
Yeah, but I think I can see. I've seen.
So yeah,
similar
it would look like thousands of tiny holes that have been ripped into flesh and then coated with like this, I guess you would call it mucus. And there are like hundreds of tiny roach eggs that are all in their process all throughout, both on the surface and inside of the holes themselves. It looks like that when he takes off his shirt.
She looks at. That was not on the high on my list of things to do. Is there for any special reason you're doing this experiment?
Well, this individual here is a particularly useful individual when it comes to information gathering on the layout and organization of individuals within the layout of certain areas that I'd like to investigate. For instance, I would like to know how large this library is. Could you tell me how large this library is? And with that, the individual gives a bit of a nod before you watch hundreds of roaches begin to pour forth from his flesh, and they begin to scatter around the room. And over the next 3 minutes, they go from one end of the room to the other end of the room as secretively as they can. I would like the three of you to, everyone essentially but Cecilia, to go ahead and give me, this is going to be Perception Alertness difficulty 8. Does Serafino have a specialty?
Nope.
Ajala and Serafino, you both only got one success. You hear something skittering. You're not sure where it's coming from. Chimeg, you don't notice it at all. But after those minutes pass, eventually you watch as all the roaches return to him and burrow within his skin. And a few moments later, he looks over at him, nods a few times, and they whisper for a few moments before he says, well, this particular building, well, this portion of the building, is about 4,000 square feet. There are 8,347 books within, and there are 12 individuals standing within that space, 3 of which are kindred.
Oh, they're sitting.
Impressive. She says to Alexis, not to the individual.
It is fantastic for information gathering. Chimeg, Serafino, Ajala. Did any of you notice anything recently weird that happened?
I felt something, but nothing too alarming.
Yeah, I heard something crawl. You might have an insect problem somewhere.
You didn't see any, though, did you?
No.
You couldn't tell me what it was? I think
No,
maybe
but
a
I can
beetle
hear
might be
fine.
trapped down here.
Beetle, scarab,
Cockroach. Who knows?
something the likes of that.
G-Mag, did you see anything?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry. No, I don't think so. Must have been another part of the room.
My point exactly.
That would be highly useful to learn to make one of those.
It is also useful when you want to deliver certain deadly things to an individual who is of the kind persuasion, whether that be a disease or a poison.
How is the control against other kindred's powers if they try to manipulate these roaches?
That is where one of the interesting things comes in. All of the roaches within are bloodbound to me to the highest degree. And I've taken to certain studies among the Tremere books that I do have at my fingertips to take certain, how should we say, wards against some of the more prevalent animalism powers of the Gangrel and others like them. So they will find it particularly hard, but not impossible, to influence them. And when they do influence them, there's only a limited amount of information that they can get about their origin and such. As far as they know, Matthew is their home. Matthew is their father. Matthew is their mother. But they do not know much about me.
Good.
Middleman.
So, how many knows about this, Matthew?
You were the first. I'm sure you won't be the exact last, but I'd consider that a very small circle.
Good to keep those kind of things hidden.
But he is just one example of what you can do, with a little ingenuity.
Maybe I have to think larger then, after my experimentation has gotten more fruitful. I guess I'm a little vain at the moment, she says as she strokes her beautiful hair that she has created, or modified.
Understandable. One thing that a few of our kind do tend to, go into is gaining particularly powerful individuals under their control through the manipulation of their vanity. So keep that in mind as well. You provide a service that they could get nowhere else. After all, what slightly unhandsome prince hasn't said he wanted to look more beautiful so he could attract someone?
That's true. I think I have good handle on that aspect.
Although I would suggest you stay away from the sheriff of the city. His hands are in a few pots, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. Oh well, I'm actually very interested in going seeing that place of yours, so would you mind if I take my leave?
Please. And he goes ahead and stands and gives a light bow.
She gives a courtesy as well as she stands. And then she
Oh,
calls.
Before you
she
go,
waits.
it is, to my knowledge, made aware to me that Canis is looking to procure a very particular item. If you ever find yourself running across, God, what was it? A red centipede?
Is she referring to a live centipede, or is this some form of mark?
It would need to be a live red centipede. At least from what she's told me. Something that she has had some difficulty acquiring, but perhaps your friend Chimek could help in that regard. I don't know what her persuasions are within the Eastern community, but I hear that they're quite common out there.
Well, I will definitely have a look out for it, and I will talk to Shimeg about it.
I would suggest talking to Canis as well. Do you have that ability?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Talk to Canis as well. Some pet project she has going on. But I have held up enough of your time, and I do have a very particularly angry Muslim to deal with in the next 20 minutes or so.
Yes. Do you mind if I call out that she is coming to the rest?
Please.
Then she will shout out, Adiala, Shimeg, and Serafino, I am leaving. Soon Habiba will come by. You should decide if you want to be here when she does.
You see Ajala making his way to the exit.
And then she gives another courtesy to Alexis.
Mm-hmm. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
What did you say?
He said it's been a pleasure.
Mine too. And then she leaves. And
Chimek.
opens the door, I guess, for Adiala that is rushing out.
Chimek, we should have a discussion in the future when I am not burdened by certain guests that will be arriving soon.
I'll look forward to it.
Good. And don't mind my friend. He has told me that he knows that you know. So he is just keeping an eye on your friends. Although he does have some interest in you.
What interest?
The interest of a child who is far too ugly to get what he wants.
speak to Cecilia. No, she can't fix anything there. That's a hope.
I don't think you can fix that, buddy. I don't. You can try.
Nosferatu ugly. That's the next level.
Maybe for an evening at most, but the curse will have its due.
Either way, I do not judge on such things, so that is his cross to bear.
I'm gonna go back to the books now.
Then you will be staying for Habiba. Excellent. You should ask your friends, companions, my apologies, to warn you about the gate on Temple Mount, so that past lessons are passed on.
I think Chimeg was told about that, right?
Yes.
He doesn't know that, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. Just checking so I don't misremember. Yes, I was told
Very good.
something
child.
about pain, I think.
Yes, yes. Very good indeed. Either way. Serafino, are you staying?
Oh yes, I'm a bit caught up in this, but if you need anything, just
More
call
tea?
me.
Wine?
Nah, I'm fine, thank you.
You?
He's got letters.
Chimek? Tea, wine, milk.
I'm good, thank you.
Very well. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm sure there are things that your coterie has not disclosed with you that I can.
Thank you.
Either way, we'll talk about that in a little bit. And it is at the point that the party will split, and we will go ahead and call an end to this session of Children of the Cup. So thank you all so much for coming out. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you, but it is fairly late, and I don't want my players to be extremely sleepy when they have to go to work. So we will see you guys next time. Adios!
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.